What is going on, Weekend Dads? Welcome in Week 12 Power Rankings. Once again, we're a little late, but better late than never, so it doesn't even matter. But looking at last week's results, man, a little mixed bag here. The Piss Boys, the only team in the top 5 taking an L, and I can really say it was a week of highs and lows. We had some teams scoring, I think, 190 plus. We had other teams failing to break 60 points, so really interesting week really across the league, and yeah, we'll definitely see it's caused a pretty big shakeup in this or in the power rankings. So let's go ahead and just roll on into them. So coming in at number 10, we're gonna have Gibson. So Colin dropped back down to number 10. Had been like number 9, I think, for a while. The big story out here is Trevor's able to get out of that 10 spot finally. So looking at last week, Colin still losing. He was able to score 125 points, had a decent week, but Kamar's injuries really kind of left him with very minimal output from a lot of his players. Dalvin Cook had a good week with 21 points. Adam Thielen have a good week with 18, but still wasn't able to top Jimmy. 125 points on the year or on the week. 2-9 on the season. It's not looking good for the Gibsons. I think Colin's year's kind of over. Chalking it up to next season. So the 2020 Weekend Edge champion will not be repeating. And yeah, we'll see what Colin can do next year, I guess. So that's all there is to say about that. Well, coming up this week, I guess he's taking on the Cardboard Hippos. So a lot of people have been saying Cardboard Hippos #1 team, taking on Colin. So I think a lot of people are expecting Dustin to kind of walk away with that one. But coming at number 9, we have the Chain Gang. So Trevor able to get out of that number 10 spot, but just up to number 9. Even though he lost last week, only able to score 107 points. Had a really big pickup with Cam Newton. Cam was able to score him 26 points. So Cam had a good fantasy game. Can't say I'm not a little bit jealous that he picked up one of my guys, lifelong Bebop and Baby Bear, but certain family restrictions currently will not allow me to have him on my team, so I hope he enjoys his new home and continues to perform for the Chain Gang. But yeah, okay week for Trevor. Deonta Foreman kind of killed him. Zach Moss definitely killed him with only half a point. So running backs is still a major issue for him. Luckily, I think Kareem Hunt's expected to play this week, so that'll definitely be a huge help for him, and he'll definitely be looking forward to getting a little bit of stability, hopefully, back in that running back room. But yeah, only 107 points last week. Went down to Team Tots in the Beef O'Brady Super Beef Mega Beef Bowl. But yeah, coming up this week, he's taking on Father of the Mags. Again, Jimmy's team's been one of the stronger teams this season. Quite a surprise, but yeah, both these teams are right there in the playoff hunt right now, with Jimmy at 7-4, Trevor at 6-5. Both in the white division fighting for a playoff spot. So this is a pretty important matchup. Definitely keep your eyes on it. So coming in at number 8, we're going to have the Piss Boys. So a huge drop from the Piss Boys after last week's 59-point performance. So it was a really rough week for Jason. I mean, he had his running backs played decent. Ramondre Stevenson got him 8 points, which I think he was happy with, I guess. I don't know. I guess that's good for his running backs. Mark Ingram got him 12, but then you start looking at his receivers and overall just his team. I mean, Dak only had 2 points. Diggs had 16, so he had a pretty good game. CD only 2, and I think he went out with a concussion. I don't remember if it was early or the Cowboys just looked terrible the whole game. They were just struggling. T. Higgins only had 2.5. AJ Brown only had 7, and went out with an injury. And then he had the Bills defense getting him negative points against the Colts. So just a really, really rough week for the Piss Boys, and 59 points. Actually dropped below the Piss Boys in their division. So they're last place, I think, currently in the black division. Puts Jason in a little bit of a tough spot. He's really got to probably win out for the rest of the season now to be able to make the playoffs and kind of continue to make a run. So he needs to hope that his receivers can get healthy. It's just crazy that he drafted all these top tier receivers and they all have gotten hurt. I mean, CD's had his issues. I think T. Higgins has been healthy all year. AJ Brown has had his issues. With DeAndre Hopkins has been out for a while. Jerry Jeudy was out for a while. So it's like Jason's strong point has been also like his downfall and his struggle of he drafted all these receivers and is trying to find guys off waivers for running back, but then he has to look for waiver wide receivers because his guys keep getting hurt. So extremely unlucky, and you know, what can you do? But yeah, 59 points, possibly one of the lowest scoring totals I think the Piss Boys or the Chinchillas, whatever you want to call the franchise, has probably had in their history. But looking to bounce back this week. So they'll be taking on Booty Pebbles this week. I'll classify as a rivalry game, honestly. I think the mentalities of both these teams and a lot of beef there. A silent beef though. It's a little bit of silent beef between these two, but Dan Carlson's already put up 21 points on the week, and Mark has made that very well known. I am struggling to talk today. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be more trash talk on that game and a little bit of celebrating of whoever wins. So moving on to number 7, we got the Nutcrackers. So kind of similar to Colin. I think Austin's pretty much done. 3-8 record on the season. Thing is, his team hasn't looked bad. His running backs have been extremely good all year. Justin Herbert, especially last week, had an incredible week, 35 points. But yeah, I mean, Najee Harris, he had Austin Eckler trade him away. DeAndre Swift has been great. He had James Robinson. James Robinson had his injury issues kind of in the middle of the year, but kind of bounced back. He still has Cam Akers sitting there on his IR, so you know, sneaky keeper. Who knows what he's trying to do there, but whatever. I think the downfall really was the wide receiver core for this season for this team. He did make a good trade, I thought, middle of the season for Michael Pittman. Pittman's kind of cooled down a little bit. He also traded for Calvin Ridley with hopes that that could be a top tier receiver for him. And then unluckily, Ridley stepped away from football for who knows how long. So he has him still sitting there on his bench, but who knows when Ridley will be back or what's going to kind of happen there. Waller's been pretty good, but I don't think he's been worth what he had to spend draft capital wise. He's been kind of hot or cold, it seems like, on the season. He had that insane week 1 where he had 19 targets. And since then has just kind of been up and down. Mooney was a great pickup, and I'm a little upset that I dropped him because I could really use the wide receiver help now. But the past three games he's played, he's been 19, 21, and 16. So he's been having some great games, especially with Allen Robinson. I think has been out and just basically non-existent when he plays anyways. Who cares? But yeah, coming up this week, Nutcrackers will be taking on Zal Zappy's Gorillas. So another silent beef game, really, between the Zorillas and the Nutcrackers. And I think Austin at this point is just going to be looking to play spoiler for most people's championship hopes. So I respect Austin for continuing to power on with the season and keep trying to beat people. But I think your season's over, Austin. I'm sorry, man. But moving on to number 6. Number 6, we got Booty Pebbles. So Mark just still kind of sitting on that second half of the rankings there. What did he do last week? Last week he got the win against Zal Zappy's Gorillas. That was a big win for him. Put him back in the first spot for the Black Division. Only scored 115 points, but Zade's team just had a really down week and a really rough week. Looking at Mark's team, you know, Nick Chubb had a great week, and since Chubb's gotten back, he's been great. He's kind of the backbone of Mark's team, really, and he relies heavily on Chubb to be able to kind of carry him, especially with higher points totals. Bench is still a major issue for Mark. I'll be interested to see if he's going to play CEH, get him kind of fired up and going here soon. Let me look at his lineup that he has in here right now. So still doesn't have CEH. Oh, CEH on by. I'm an idiot. But CEH probably be coming back for him soon, especially with Gibson. The way they've been using Antonio Gibson has been extremely weird on the season. I don't watch much Washington football games, honestly, so I don't know if he's like not good. But everyone was expecting him to be like McCaffrey light, and that has not happened. So, but yeah, taking on the Piss Boys this week. This is gonna be a huge game. He could pretty much end Jason's season, and then really, especially if like Zade were to lose or Baby Bears were to lose, that could really cement Mark there at the top of the division, kind of get close to locking up a playoff spot somehow with him. He just always does that. I don't know. But yeah, number 6. Number 6 trying to lock a playoff spot. But whatever. Team Tots coming in at number 5. So Eric got the big win last week in the Beef O'Brady Super Beef, Mega Beef, Ultra Beef Bowl. And surprisingly, it wasn't on the back of Mahomes and Tyreek. So Mahomes only had 7 points. Tyreek only had 15. His real ringer has been James Conner, especially since the Chase Edmonds injury. So James Conner's been absolutely fire. He had 37 against San Francisco, only 13 against Carolina, but Panthers do have a pretty good run defense, and then 18 against Seattle. So honestly, a great pick for Eric, especially how his kind of 0 RB team, like, I don't really know how we got here with Eric's team, but here we are. He did have the Patriots defense absolutely go off for him with 26 points. They had like, I forgot how many interceptions and sacks, and they just went insane. And that's really what was able to carry him in his victory over Trevor. So coming up this week, though, he's taking on the Baby Bears. So this is actually a really big matchup for the division. So Eric at 5-6, Baby Bears at 6-5. Eric does have a lot of guys on bye, but since I'm recording this late, he's had a lot of guys also play. And Tony Pollard scored 14, Hunter Renfrow scored 18, Cedric Wilson scored 14, and Hawkinson scored 11. I'm a little scared. I need McCaffrey, Mixon, and Eckler to play really, really well because my receivers are so bad. But it is what it is. But this will be that's outstanding points, honestly, for Eric, especially with a lot of his main players, Mahomes, Connor, Tyreek, like literally probably his best scores all on bye. So really huge for Eric. But it's crazy. He could make a playoff push and somehow make playoffs despite us like hating his team and shitting on him all year. But it's been a crazy season. I mean, I think Eric was like 0-4 or something to start off, and here he is. So whatever. Going on to number 4, we got the Bebop and Baby Bears. So I already talked about myself a little bit. We beat the Piss Boys last week, 130 points. So good week for the Baby Bears. 20 points Tom Brady, 21 McCaffrey, 25 Mixon, and 38 from Eckler. So I said it in the Discord. My formula for success is basically around 20 to 25 points from all 3 of my running backs, and then about 20 points from Brady. And whatever else I can get from my receivers is just bonus points at that point. So we're trying to score like maybe 110, 120 a week. If we can get over that, we're ecstatic. So that's where we're at. So luckily I have 3 elite running backs that can score and get, I'd say probably Mixon's probably the least workload out of all of them. But McCaffrey obviously is going to get his. Eckler heavily involved in the offense, and as long as that offense is clicking, Eckler seems to perform really well. And then I mean, Mixon's pretty involved, honestly. He just missed a little bit of passing work from Gio, but yeah, like I've said several times, especially with Amari out with COVID, he was like my only chance at wide receiver recently, and everyone else is just like, just score something, please. I'm just hoping for not getting donuts. So this week we'll be rolling out Marvin Jones, Tyler Boyd, and then we had to take Corey Davis out because apparently he's hurt. So we got Jameson Crowder in there, so that'll be fun. And then hopefully Pitts can actually do something against Jacksonville because he didn't do anything against New England. But yeah, this is a big game for the Baby Bears, and we'll see if we can actually do anything and get in the playoffs because my team is a little scary. Not in a good way, though, but it's whatever. Moving on to number 3. Number 3, we got Zal Zappy Gorillas. So Zayd finds himself in the 3rd spot despite losing last week, and only scoring 94 points. I think everyone kind of looks at Zayd's team, and I mean, he had Cooper Kupp on bye, which has been one of his best players all year. Still the number 1 wide receiver on the season. Michael Carter, I think, is hurt, and I believe he's out for the season now. So that's actually a really big hit for the Zorillas. So looking at this week, they'll be starting Saquon, Montgomery, and they has AJ Dillon down in his flex there. So if Aaron Jones comes back, that could actually be an issue with him having to play Aaron Jones. Obviously, he's going to play Aaron Jones over AJ Dillon, but just them taking kind of carries away from each other is going to kind of hurt him in his fantasy points totals. But this week, as I said before, taking on the Nutcrackers. Big week for Zayd as he's fighting for that playoff spot. Everyone in the black division is honestly pretty tight, and there's a lot to sort out there still of what the playoff picture is going to look like. The rest of the league, it's kind of like that, honestly. We always start with like a big difference thinking we know who the good teams are going to be, and the end of the season rolls around, it's like it seems to shake up and it ends up close. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, taking on the Nutcrackers this week, big game for the Zorillas, and he's got his boy Cooper Kupp back, so see what happens there. Coming at number 2, got father of the Mags, Jimbo finds himself in the number 2 spot after his win over Collins' team, sitting there at second position in the white division at 7-4. Great week last week from Jalen Hurts, was 30 points. Devontae Adams, awesome week, 28 points. Mark Andrews has been solid all year. What is he on the season? Tight end 2 on the season. So Mark Andrews really been a big help for Jimmy's team. And then Jamar Chase has been incredible for him, and Mike Williams has actually been a really good receiver. So the receivers have been interesting this year. I know Jimmy will be excited to get Kyler back here soon. Hoping that he'll eventually play maybe after their bye. I think he was close to playing like last week, but they might have just not wanted to chance it. Jalen Hurts has been fine for him anyway, even though he gets all of his points in the fourth quarter. But coming up this week, he'll be taking on Chain Gang. So Trevor sitting there at 6-5, Jimmy at 7-4. Trevor's trying to tie up that divisional record. I don't know what their points total look like on the season. I don't really want to look it up right now, so we're just gonna who cares. But Trevor trying to close the gap there to be able to get in the playoffs, squeak in there. So again, another important matchup that's going to help shape the playoff picture for the 2021 Weekend Dads playoffs. So that's number 2, which leaves one team there at number 1. It's going to be Dustin. So Cardboard Hippo still sitting there at number 1. Best record on the season at 8-3. Had the best points total last week with 192. On the back of Jonathan Taylor's 52 points. So Jonathan Taylor just absolutely went off against the Buffalo Bills. It was absolutely incredible, but Dustin's scored over 200 earlier in the season, then scored 192 this past week. We said at the beginning of the year he had 2 strong running backs, which Zeke hasn't looked as strong, but he still has Javonte Williams, Damian Harris on his bench. And his receivers have been solid with Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson, Justin Jefferson, Marquise Brown on the bench. Robbie could maybe have a little bit of life with Cam, who knows. But yeah, that's our number 1 team, and I think a lot of people agree that Dustin's team is really dang good. So probably a favorite to win the league right now, but who knows what could happen. One injury could just kind of change everything. We'll really have to see. So coming up this week, he is taking on Colin's team, which Colin isn't great. So might be extending his win total to 9-3, but we'll see what happens. He did get 0 points from Cowboys D already, but he still projected to score 140, so that's kind of crazy. But it is what it is. So that's going to do it for our power rankings this week. Like I said before, a little bit of a shakeup there going on, but let's move on to Wolfie's game of the week for week 12. So Wolfie's game of the week, this is a big one. I kind of talked, a lot of these games have huge playoff implications, and we're getting to that point of the season now where it's like every win's going to count, especially with how tight our league always seems to get. I mean, we have Colin and Austin that are I think they're probably mathematically eliminated, but everyone else has a chance. So coming in week 12, we're going to have the Squats and Tots Bowl with Team Tots and Bebop and Baby Bears. So number 5 and number 4 facing off. Huge implications in the black division. And yeah, whoever loses, it's going to be in big trouble. So we'll see what's able to happen here. Eric's already put up some good points on me this week, and I'm a little nervous, but we'll see what happens on Sunday. So thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do whatever else Wolfie wants us to do. Complain to Wolfie on Twitter about your ranking, whatever you want to do. I don't care. But yeah, we'll see you guys again next week. Goodbye.